How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. I'm Sam Holcman. Thanks for joining me. And this particular broadcast is calling out to all real enterprise architects. If you don't think you're important and your organization doesn't think you're important, well, I hope this broadcast will open up some eyes, perhaps. And that is because, without doubt now, another article has come out that says cloud computing is no longer the default position to go into. And if you have any other measure out there that people have been talking about that possibly contradict this, one absolute measure today is cost. We'll talk about value in just a moment. The month-over-month cost decline in on-premise compute has gone down 4%. Cloud services have increased over 2.5%, and that trend is continuing. I also have to make it clear that I am not against cloud computing. What I'm against is the hype about cloud computing being the go-to approach. It takes architecture and analysis to determine where things should reside. Cloud computing is defined as follows: putting your stuff on somebody else's computer, which means there is a profit motive. There is a profit motive. And with that, you have to look at it and say there's going to be a balance. Now, what's the word value? The word value is different than cost. So there are situations where if you do analysis, the longer-term value of a cloud environment may be there, underline may. But what we want to do is to build an environment that is architected to take advantage of changes in the technology. We're taking and looking at it and saying that the business environment needs to be separated and analyzed separately from the enabling environment, which will give the organization what? True enterprise agility. And agility comes from architecture and assemble to order implementations. Not construct, maintain, but assemble to order solutions. And as the technology, dollars change, values change, we can take advantage of that. So architects are going to be more critical than ever, working with the business people to recognize what should go where, what locations should various processes, and they could be separated from the data or put in the same location, and also the volatility of that data and where it should be, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud. Now, couple that with also looking at business value. Business value. And there has not been yet a study that at least I have seen that is neutral to saying that value in the cloud and the term agility is a one-to-one match. It has to do how you architect your data and process and how it's deployed that's there. Now, what we can understand is that there's a lot of momentum. Some people call it hype. Some people call it keeping up with your neighbors, the Joneses, so to speak, or whatever that is. Whether it's open source, whether it's cloud computing, whether it's microservices, whether it's agile programming, all of these things, people jump on this bandwagon. But you and I, as real enterprise architects, can now take a breath for a moment and demonstrably show what we should deploy and where and how it affects business value and achieving business goals. And it's no longer an inhibitor, which used to be there for a while, which was cost. There was the belief, and probably correctly so, that cloud computing per transaction was less costly. Well, that's out the window now. So now we can look at it from a true enterprise value standpoint. Let's take that message and let's take the real value of real enterprise architecture to our organization, because the role of the real enterprise architect is to enable the business strategy. What a powerful, powerful role we can now play. Let's go out there and do real architecture. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.